Welcome to Bricks of Norway. Hi there, my name is Paul. In this video we're going to talk about the Technics sets again. This is part 2. Part 1 was 1977 to 1979, and this time we're going to talk about my sets from 1980 to 1981. So come along and enjoy! So have anything changed from the sets made in 1977 to 1979? Well, the first sets used a lot of system parts, as you saw in the 851 tractor and 850 forklift truck. The 853 car chassis also used a lot of system parts. So what about the years 1980 and 1981? Well, some sets still use a lot of system parts, but they at least came with one set that is using less system parts than earlier. In the first Technic video we talked about my sets: 850 forklift truck, 851 tractor, 853 car chassis and 856 bulldozer, which at that time was my favorite Technic set. But in 1980 the Lego group came out with a new set that still is my favorite Technic set. So which set are we talking about? It's of course set 8860 car chassis, the second generation. This was my dream when I was a child, and luckily I got it. I was very lucky to get it I think as a Christmas present. I was so happy when I got this one. I had been dreaming of this since I first saw it in the advertisement from Lego. And today this still is my favorite Technic set. Even though it's quite simple compared to the newer sets, it still is my favorite. So what have changed from 853 car chassis, the first generation? Well, they're using a more advanced type of steering, and these parts are getting a bit old, so they're not turning around as smoothly as they should. Seats are different, move them back and forth, and you have a suspension in the rear. And they introduced the differential, and this time they made an flat 4. And of course there's a gearbox. Select gears. If you follow the instructions, this car has 2 gears. There's a third gear there they're supposed to use if you put a motor in the engine to make it move. And then you block out one of the gears and enable the third one. But I've enabled all 3 in this build. As I've said earlier, I actually have 2 of these sets. I got one of them as a child, and I bought one later was when I was a grown-up. At the time being I only have one of them built up, but I guess you'll see both later on. So as a child I played a lot with this car, and I built it, took apart, rebuilt it, took it apart, rebuilt it, took it apart, used the parts for other things. And this is one of the few Lego sets I've actually played with outside. This one has been a lot outside at my parents' cabin, and this, as I said, it still is my favorite Technic set. So this is more advanced than the 853 first generation car chassis, but it's much of the same. You have a chassis and no body on the car. This time is only a 2-seater, not a 4-seater or 5-seater as the last time, but it's a bit shorter than the 853. This is the only Technics set I have from 1980. They didn't release that many sets in 1980, but in 1981 they released more sets, and I got some of them. So the next set is set number 8844 from 1981, helicopter. And this set doesn't use that many system parts. Some parts from, well, the classic space. And for the seats you have some system parts and are on the engine and the rotor blades. And they introduce some new parts. That can be used to make more intricate designs than earlier, and these can be adjusted. I'll try not to hit myself now, but when you turn this wheel, the rotor will be spinning and the tail rotor will be spinning. And this is the Lego's second Technic helicopter. The first one was 852 that I don't own, but I really want to have. And that one is actually a bit more advanced and complex. I think we'll talk about that one later. This one has a retractable landing gear. We'll just have to and this one is working a bit slow, so it has to be helped a little bit. And that is the most advanced feature on this one, except for the rotor turning around. And you have a double set of sticks. Quite easy, simple. And I guess well, the lever that would be used for as a collective pitch is used for lowering and raising the landing gear. But I guess it's on the wrong side for being used as a collective pitch. And this was a very fun set to build, and I was very excited to get it. These parts are a bit fragile, and they're just held together by, you can see there's some small teeth here that you can make it have different angles, and then you have the little short Technic pin to connect them. But these parts are very fragile, and the Lego Group later released these parts without the teeth, so you can't be locked. And they came up with parts that are pre-locked at different angles. And you also have you have these normal bushings. You actually have here a half bushing with teeth to lock this. So on the part for the landing gear, locked it to follow the axle. I was very excited to get it, but it has never been a favorite of mine. I guess it was too simple, I don't know, and I was a bit disappointed about these parts. I just noticed something while looking at the official picture of this set 8844. These crossover bars are made to stabilize and strengthen the structure. It's not placed like this on the official picture. And I think the way shown on the official picture has less integrity and strength in the structure than the way they have done it here, using those new parts and binding it together, both. On the other one they have removed the half pins and put axle through there, and I guess they have put some bushings on the inside to make it not fall in, but nothing will keep it from falling out, going out and falling off, and the angle will not be kept safe. So the next set is set 8848 Powertrack. This is a cute little truck. It kind of resembles an Unimog from that time, a modern, an 80s Unimog. There's no official information about this being designed after a Unimog, and I guess it's they didn't do that to don't have to pay a license, but it very much resembles an Unimog. And this was something I really wanted, and this still is one of my favorite sets. And this set uses more system parts again for the body, the skip, and the bucket. But it's a lot of Technic parts, so you can lower the bucket, and you can tilt the bucket and lower it, and then put things in it. You can build other things with this, and you can open all three sides. You can only tip it one way. And you actually have a PTO back here. You have a differential, so you can see the PTO is turning as you turn the wheels, and I actually have a PTO in the front. It also turns. No fake engine in this car. They use the space up front for steering and the mechanism for tilting the skip and lowering and raising the bucket. But of course you have steering. And I'm not saying that this is the first time they use these parts for steering, but this is new compared to my other sets. It was the first time I had these parts for steering. Making it possible to make a smaller car with steering. They put the steering wheel just underneath the roof. So it's a kind of hand of God, but it's hidden. And this car I've also played a lot with. This one also have been used outside. Well, I really like this. This is a fun set to play with. The next set is a set that I didn't get as a child. This one I bought after becoming a grown-up, after my dark ages. And well, this is a set I wanted as a child, but I never got it. A friend of mine had it. He didn't, he built it, but he really didn't have it built that much. He didn't care that much about it. And it's a nice set, but it's not working always. It's not working properly all the time. It's hard to get it to work as it should all the time. And this is set 8859 tractor. Of course, you have the steering wheels. You have a fake engine, and on this one you can actually open a hood, and it's a 2-cylinder engine. Of course, you have the steering wheel. have the differential, and you have the PTO that will turn when you turn the wheels. As a tractor, you have some equipment on the back, and you have different types you can build. And this one is not working as it should. It can be lowered, raised. Supposed to be raised and lowered by the lever here, but has never been any good for that. The 3-point for hooking up equipment. I was really excited to get this one, but I was a bit disappointed because it really doesn't work that well. I have actually moved the sprocket here because it was making hard turning the wheels around when to get the engine turning over, and that's because some of these parts are not running as smoothly as they should. So one day I'll have to go over and replace them with some newer parts. The problem with the Technics sets and newer parts, especially with the old pins and the sprockets, are that they are in the old light gray color, and getting those in in better condition while still being light gray is not that easy all the time. And I guess this one is supposed to, well, there's no official information, but information about it. But of course, it's an MB track. That was, at least here in Norway, that was the only tractor that looked like this in the 80s, and it's no problem seeing the resemblance with the MB track. And now we're back for everyone's favorite part, the user manual, the building instructions. And I guess this one looks familiar for those of you who are familiar with the old Technics sets or watch my old Technics video. There's nothing on the front saying 8860, except for this little cutout in the building instructions and a small number down here. And you have the combination of the 855 mobile crane and 850 forklift truck and 871 was it? The set with some spare parts. And as always, you have the legal information in different languages. And then you have the little engine you can build, a little go-kart you can build, another engine, and how to use a motor in a little car, how to motorize sets. And then the front page of the 8860 comes being finished. And then they start the building instructions for the B model, the dragster. Not that advanced set, and not using that many of the parts. I've never built it. As I've said before, I really haven't built much of the B models of my Technics sets. And then they start with how to build a motor in your car, showing different motors and gearboxes, how to make the car being able to steer. And if you want to replace put a motor in the engine, they show you which parts to remove and how to rebuild it with with the engine in it. And I was talking about the gearbox, and they show you how to build with 2 gears when you build it without a motor, and when you put in a motor in it, you remove first gear and enable the 3rd gear, and they show you how to do this. And this one should look familiar for those of you that have watched my last video. And same with these. Combination. I was wrong, of course. 850 forklift truck, 855 mobile crane, 871 and 877 spare parts sets. And these look familiar. Last page. But I think this is my last Technics set that has these kind of building instructions. So if you look at the 8844 helicopter, it's much smaller. A5 in compared to the traditional A4 format. And it actually has a picture of the helicopter on the front page. You have the legal information, and then you start building the helicopter. And then you have a B model you can build, not that advanced, not that many parts. They show you how to place a motor in the helicopter, which parts to remove and which parts to put back in again, in which order. And they show you these new parts with teeth, so you can, which you can lock in different angles, and how to build and not build stuff. A cute little bike. A little chair. And they show you how to build the landing gear, retractable landing gear, separate. And then you have the 8848 Powertrack, and it has the picture of the actual model on the front page. Legal information, and then you start building. And you have the complete truck. And then they start showing you how to build some other equipment, like a blade, instead of the bucket, a snowplow, and a lawn mower. And then they start on the B model. But as usual, I haven't built it. And then they show you some information about how to put in a motor. And I can actually remove a whole substructure with the rear wheels and the differential. And they show how to use different motors. This is a standard motor, and this is one with the reduction gear and the box to put around the motor. Instead of the skip, make it a rescue truck for collecting cars. Use the bucket in front to make a sand spreader. And then they show you how to use those new parts with teeth. And that you can connect this in different ways. And then they show you some small simple builds. So I don't have the instructions for the 8859 since I bought it used. The instructions are very much the same as the other of these newer Technics sets. They have a B model, as always, a bit futuristic car. As usual, in the instructions they show you how to put a motor in the tractor. In the instructions they show how to build different attachments for the tractor. Thank you very much for joining me today. Please like and subscribe to help Google find my videos. Enjoy!